Hey guys, how's it going?
Oh, we're burning fire tonight.
We're burning.
Put your kettles on.
At first, I thought both these guys were afflicted with weaponized autism, but I realized it was actually a thing they were doing, not just listening to the sound of skin rub because it makes them comfort at the night.
No, remember in grade school when they told you to do this and then you'd look in your hand, there'd be black stuff on your hands, remember?
For the record, technically, I have not been diagnosed with autism, but I'm starting to realize that I'm for sure somewhere on a spectrum. Oh, please.
I don't know what's more disturbing.
Everyone do their weird things right now. I can do this. I can do. Watch this. I can do it like this. That's pretty good. All right.
All right, so now that we've proven we're all mutants on air live on the podcast. Welcome back.
I can climb up.
What is this, 27? 20 fucking 7.
27. As Trevor said, this is the podcast in the evolution of a podcaster where either you get real famous or you die or both, right?
Oh, wait, no. We get famous and die, or we just bleed into obscurity and nobody ever knows of us.
Right. There's a big fork in the road right here.
So, after this week, watch out.
On the boulevard.
So that's why I brought the
broken
gun. I
podcast
figured. Oh, wait. No, I
dreams.
didn't bring the gun.
No, next week you bring the gun because if we're not
Oh,
famous
right.
by
Either
next
we
week.
bust or die.
I brought the gun.
So the,
gonna be
the
limousines.
suicide pact has
I
been
brought the
signed,
guns.
right? You did realize you signed that when you joined the team, right? Like next week, like that's it. Like we're drawing the pentacle on the ground. and
Even
going-
though it's
going
called
for the gate.
even though it's called 39, trying to start after 27, you're done.
Either you make it or you.
Because it's like life. You thought you had more years. Oh, okay. Well, hey, God, she's just crazy. Wow.
Well, I want to give a shout out to my boy Mick who has had his baby.
Speaking of more years, yeah.
Mick, a.k.a. our numero uno fan. I see the reports and I get analytics and I was following like, man, this dude, he's like, this guy's listening to every episode. Turns out to be one of your best buddies.
Yeah, good guy.
And
Solid,
so what
solid.
happened? What's his big news?
Yeah,
He's here
he
tonight.
just had his
Share it.
baby. He stopped by earlier. So little baby Mia. Like
Mila,
yes,
like
Mila,
Kunis.
yes.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
100%.
name.
We love you. So welcome to the world.
And
And
she is
honestly-
now our youngest fan. We have put her on a steady diet of 39 drunken disorderlies.
Yeah, she's like number 1.5.
She was actually listening to it prenatally through the womb. He was holding a speaker up to her belly.
We don't know if that's actually true, but it sounds like a good story. I like it.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
good.
reassuring when like a solid person like that, brings someone else into the world. Like it's
Yeah,
like
it's
thank
refreshing.
God. Like
Yeah, it's refreshing.
yeah.
Right. We
Makes
just
it good.
doubled our podcast audience, right?
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, right there.
That's the caliber of
Evolution.
person we're
That's
looking
what
for.
gets us fans.
Right. Now we just
All
gotta
right, so if you like this show, breed.
breed and tell your
Like-
breed and tell your kids to like,
And-
comment, subscribe.
And we probably won't be famous until like for another 39 years. And then all those fans will grow up and love
Boom.
this
Right.
shit.
give it time. Slow burn.
Just hope there's a lot of twins. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. Don't stop.
Yeah. It's like it's
Go
like it's
redneck.
like a Berkey family. We just gotta expand. We just
Go
gotta-
redneck. That's a weird ask for everyone's like my thing, subscribe, tell a friend. If we're like have children
Yes,
and
have
make
children.
them fans of our
that's
thing.
right. That's right.
That's how you know you have influence over your audience.
I name my baby 39 DD.
Just like,
I
it's like 9,000 kids either named Lars,
I
Trevor,
named
or
my baby
Bob.
Big Bob.
You know what I mean? Like, really? Again, another Big Bob is always like 5'4" guys. I'm Big Bob. Yes, you are.
Yeah, I'm Big Bob the Third.
Yeah, they're gonna end up tracing a massive population spike due back to the launch of this podcast. That's brilliant.
You heard it here now, first, boys and girls. If you
We're
were born, if
delusional.
you were born in like the next year or so, it's because of me.
We got
So wait, now it's tonight. Yeah, here we go.
we got K-Rock in the house.
Yeah.
Karim.
What? Where'd you get that tonight? What do you?
We caught him with a mouthful. Talk with your mouth full. He's
Yeah.
chomping. This is his episode favorite. Week in, week out. We need to get them as a sponsor. This is across the way from the Starbank Convenience. He hits
Say word.
Jamaican patties every week.
It's just
That's
from
my
across the
thing.
way
Yeah,
there,
it's just across the street.
because you can't get it from far and then bring it, because then it's like cold and
At that
stale.
point, it would just
Yeah, you
not
get
be good.
you gotta
They're like
get
a-
it fresh.
They're like $1.75.
I'm a Jamaican
something
patty
like that.
fiend, man. I always I like to go back to like Warden or Victoria Park days, like like those subway
Bathurst.
stations,
Are you a
Bathurst.
TTC?
Bathurst.
Remember those? Yeah.
TTC station.
Yeah.
Do you
Any
go-
any other shout outs?
Do you go spicy or mild?
Yeah, it's spicy.
It's got spicy.
Do they sell chicken ones too? Or are they just straight up beef, spicy, or
I
mild?
never ask if they sell chicken or not. I just
They also
go
have you,
in
have
and
you
ask
tried?
for a spicy beef patty. That's it.
That's what you just go
He's
for
a
it.
purist.
Yeah, and then they have the Korean style pancake or whatever that is.
Right, Chinese pancake.
Chinese
Yeah,
pancake?
it's like
Have you heard of that?
Some kind of pork pancake. I don't know.
Have you
Pork
ever
in the middle.
have you ever
It's
got
great.
the
It's great, though.
patty with the bun on it?
No.
No, they do that at Yonge and Dundas. If you go like a block north on
That's
the
the
west
thing-
side.
That's the
That
thing I
thing is-
shared with him
yeah.
today. I shared him a meme, and it's
He
a
sent
meme
me
of
a
like
meme
a
of, like-
like a submarine bun with a.
Yeah, and they
patty
bake the
in it.
bun and stuff. The bartender at my work swears by it. This guy Brenton. He showed me
Really?
one day and he's like, "Yo, come check this out." And he
Jamaican
got it for
patty
me.
sandwich.
Yeah,
Sure, I'll check it
cocoa
out.
bun or whatever it is.
cocoa bun. Yeah,
It's too many carbs.
it's too many.
Don't do it.
It's too
Chris.
many.
It's too many
Do it
carbs.
once. Do it once, and then
Okay.
You want to
then
lean out
that's
for
it.
your fights, right?
For sure.
So
Yeah.
and
Gotta
how
make weight.
and then in the rest in house tonight, we got Luna.
We got Luna in
Oh
the house.
shit!
I should say this. Camille was here earlier, and she mentioned I was editing and listening to previous podcasts, and she was like, "Oh, I love Karim's voice." So people love your voice.
Yeah, Karim, you
talk
could-
more.
you
Talk more,
could-
Karim. I mean,
Weirdly
your
enough,
voice
this is
and
not
your
the
accent.
first time I've heard that.
Of course not. Yeah, you have the voice of an
It's-
African king.
For-
Everyone loves
yeah,
it.
but for me, it's weird. I don't like my voice.
Really?
No,
Well, of course you
Yeah,
don't.
come
It's your
on.
I
fucking
don't,
voice.
Okay,
and
I
you're
don't like it either.
self-discriminate.
I just had to go
Self-love.
through this for like hours today because I'm singing in a musical, and I
Okay.
tried to tell these people, my directors, that I don't like my sound of my voice, and they're like,
Then-
"We don't care. Then don't sing. Like, fuck you. You don't like it. Like, that's your opinion."
Then what
Like-
you should do is act like you're someone with a different voice.
Well,
Be
yeah.
an
No, honestly, you know
actor
what,
and
Kareem, I
sing
think it's
as
funny. I
an
was going to
actor.
touch on that
That's what Cam
today
was
because I
saying,
wanted to
actually.
talk
Right,
today
you're
a little bit about one of the other topics that's heavy in the entire 39 Disorderlies chain, which is music.
Right.
Because
Sure.
I forgot. I mean, I forget when you tell these stories that people don't know the background to some extent.
the
that,
punk rock background.
Yeah, that I played in bands basically the entire time that I was also a total drunk and disorderly asshole. And I realized how much that influenced me the other day when I ran into a bunch of old bandmates just randomly, one after the other. And it occurred to me that I played with a lot of people. And I hate the sound of my own voice recorded, which is one of the only reasons that we ever sounded good. Because whenever I would listen to shit, I'd be like, nope, do it again. And you get to situations in the studio where your bandmates looking at you like, if we record this song one more fucking time, I'm gonna strangle myself with my own bass strings. Like, I don't care anymore.
Right.
They give us
Right.
the Fincher look. Like, yeah.
How
Yeah.
many when you were in studio and you were recording a song? How many takes of it to get like the one, or were you recording
Depends.
in pieces?
Depends.
usually? What was the
Sometimes one
process?
take. We did various things over the years. We went from extraordinarily unprofessional, like microphone live off the floor,
Right, like garage band.
Yeah.
thing.
When we were
Yeah.
teenagers, to like having people who ran the studios, set up mics and try to record us, and then and again to varying degrees of professionalism. Sometimes you had guys who were really talented and knew what they were doing, and other times just had dudes who had a recorder and were like, "Okay, so we're gonna record you, and we'll see how it works, right?"
What was it like in some of those more professional settings where things seemed a little more manicured, but like you still had to kind of get that raw, authentic sound? Like, what was that like?
I always offended the shit out of sound techs and stuff
Mm.
because I'd be like, "No, here's the thing. Exactly that. I'd be like, the reason that we are a punk band and it sounds good is because I don't do the things that you just suggested I do.
Right. He's like telling you like microphone technique and.
So
like,
I'm not going to do that,
Right.
and you're going to record it. And then what you're going to do, because it's how all punk rock works, the guy looks at me, and it's funny because I actually had a couple guys who were like, their jaws dropped. I'm like, you're just going to turn the gain up
Right.
and make me louder? Because when you professionally mix the guitar, the bass, and the drums together, all you really want is my loud screaming voice, just loud enough that you can hear me alongside them.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. That's okay. It's punk rock.
Right.
And the truth of the matter is, it does make sense. It does sound, you can understand what's going on. The problem is cleaning up punk rock in the audio, in the studio is exactly what killed Offspring, right? Like their first
Fucking
couple
love
albums.
Offspring,
They're
Yeah.
by
great.
the
Shout
way.
out to
Oh, man.
Offspring.
My absolute favorite album of all time is Offspring Smash.
In high school, I used to listen to
That
like
album is
fucking
one of the
crazy.
few albums in history that is good
ring
cover to cover. That's a rare thing for a band. I can't name a dozen
Right.
records that are
Right.
good cover to cover, but Offspring
And,
Smash,
like fired you up.
good
right?
cover to cover.
Yeah.
Then
just
they
rang
sold.
out,
Then they
yeah.
sold out to Sony,
Hmm.
and ended up getting overproduced, and they became less and less
You're
enjoyable.
like, our focus groups are finding that they like this.
So I
It's
realized
less
that
screamy.
music led to like half of this persona because it was my go-to. It was my fallback for being sort of a crazy guy who didn't think he had much of this life left. You know,
Mm-hmm.
punk rock was a salvation, not a. Some people think of it as an escape, or like a, it's a black hole that you jump down. For me, it was the raft. The life was the black ocean, and punk rock was the raft.
It was the valve that just
It was the only
opened it up,
thing.
yeah.
It's the only thing. It gave me an outlet when I had nothing. It gave me a place to put my anger when I had too much. And it's still the anger boiled over, and still the drug abuse boiled out, and the madness and everything else. But it boiled out in a more controlled fashion because of music and the musicians and the people I had to deal with. And I made lifelong friends.
I was just gonna ask.
Changed my life.
I was gonna ask you, like who do you draw upon?
Well, it's just
top of mind, like
Oh,
who
man.
you're still with.
there's just so many people. It doesn't matter. Some alive, some not, some here, some around.
Is it more of a vast net kind of thing?
Yeah,
like
it's
not
a
so
vast
much one.
network. It's not just one or two, three
Yeah.
people. It's like it changed my life. Like a
Hmm.
lot of the people I know because of music, and a lot of the industries I worked in, like even being a bouncer and stuff, was copacetic to being a musician.
Right.
Like I worked a nightlife job. I worked in venues. So when it came to booking shows and being in a band and stuff, it was easier because I already knew the lifestyle. So you know what I mean? And you couldn't have a 9 to 5 job normal because you might get called to go out of town and play a weird show
Mhm.
on the weekend.
Was there a place in town that you played at and bounced at? Then that maybe
Yeah, the
it was
Big
your
Bop.
favorite.
That
Oh,
makes
the
you
big that was the Big Bop,
superhero.
right,
You're
The Big
just
Bop,
like the
right
man.
they're right at
Queen
Queen and,
and
and Bathurst.
Bathurst, yeah,
Before it turned into a struck tube, like
or whatever on the
one of these
southeast
yuppie-
corner.
Yeah, one of these yuppie.
It's I remember
furniture
that
stores.
It's a
happened.
light
That
bulb
happened like
store.
15 years ago or something, right? It happened.
A little bit less, but
A
yeah.
little bit less. So I was like 12. Yeah, I'm gonna have. I was like, what?
Oh man, here's the thing.
Changed everything.
And I like some of the drunken disorderly stories. I've had some good times and some really bad times at the Big Bop. That place was a quintessential Toronto venue. That started off and maintained the punk rock scene for like 40 years in this town. Like not a joke. A lot of the old school punk rockers that I grew up listening to played there.
It was like the Toronto CBGB.
And in many ways it was because we
Yeah.
don't have. I
We
mean,
don't
there's so
have
many.
that,
There's
yeah.
there's a lot of iconic bars in Toronto.
Horseshoe,
like the Horseshoe,
and-
the
yeah,
Opera House.
Cameron.
you know, Black Feather. There's a bunch of places that are
good call.
pretty
Black
amazing.
But not so much a punk rock
But yeah.
destination. There was no like one.
The Big Bop
One
was the
place.
place. If you went to the downstairs catacombs every fucking Friday or Saturday,
Combs.
you could go there and watch a punk rock show for $5 cover.
Wow.
And a lot of them are all ages punk rock shows
Oh,
too.
those are the
And
days.
that's huge. That means like, you're 16, 15, 17. Those are the shows you were going to because that's the money you had if you were like a broke punk rock kid. You'd pre-drink on like cooking sherry and do your
Yeah.
drugs
Oh,
outside.
we've talked about the
Of
stories.
course.
Yeah.
But
Cooking
then for
Sherry,
a
that's an
$5
episode.
a $5
Episode.
bill or a fistful of change that you could bum in the corner,
I was gonna say scrounge together, yeah.
you're going to a punk rock show.
And then
Right.
fuck knows what happens after
Right.
Well, and
that.
that's foundational, man.
attainable.
What
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
things could you go in, like paying $5 cover? What could happen inside? Like, could you?
Oh man, unreal. I mean, it's the whole world of rock and roll. That's the whole point. That's why I'm saying it's foundational. Like you walk in, you might have your first sexual encounter. You might fucking you might get way too drunk and get beat up. You might just get beat up.
Could be the same
you might
person.
you might
for
meet the
those two
band.
things.
Actually, it could be the same person for 3 or 4
Sexual
different things.
encounter, and then you get beat up by them.
Like maybe somebody buys you a
Yeah,
beer, or
later.
someone breaks a beer over your head. Like
Like I said, it was foundational because again,
Good
the
times.
bouncers there were somewhat corrupt. I know because I worked there later. So it wasn't like the cleanest environment. They didn't really care if you were like underage and drunk and fucked up. And so the thing is, I know it sounds terrible. Like it sounds like we're just facilitating people's negative behavior. But at the same time, honestly, being a little bit cool with people and giving them sort of a safer place than just like out in the
Right.
park being a drunk
Right.
fuck,
honestly, I played football.
it
Like,
does change
It's
things.
the same thing. It's
Yeah.
like you're allowed to hit people here. It's
Right.
like same thing in a mosh pit.
You
Like
probably had more concussions on the football field than in a mosh pit.
equal
I certainly
to
did,
or
I
yeah.
certainly did more physical damage playing sports to people than I ever did like in a
Right.
mosh pit.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
in a mosh pit, I'm not really trying.
No, it's
hurt
like
anybody.
if things happen,
But
say
on
la
the football
vie,
field,
but
my job.
the
I
job.
mean, I'm sorry. Hi. You know, I think my job. I'm emotional support. I'm here on the line of scrimmage to tell you that in a few minutes, if you don't surrender and lay down on the ground, I'm going to have to step on you, and if I do, I'm going to crush you like a bug.
Scary all lineman.
Right.
Thank you.
I heard
I'm
I heard
curious.
some comedian the other day describe a football team like he was like there's not how if there's 12 players, I don't know how many players on a team on the field, anyone know? Say there's 12. He's like it's not 12 football players. It's one guy who can throw a football, one guy who can kick a football, a couple guys who can catch a football, and then 8 murderers.
Yes.
That's basically what football
Correct.
players' jobs are. Is
Absolutely.
just to rip the guy apart.
Correct.
or,
If you're
like-
not a wide receiver, running back, or a quarterback,
right.
then you are one of
You're a
the
wall
linemen. And if you're a
slash,
lineman,
like,
you're
maniac.
you're a man crushing
Right.
monster. That's your
Right.
job.
Yeah,
Right.
well, it's they call it the trenches
Right.
for a reason.
You're
like
straight up
fullback. No, like
trying
the
to
game-
like
Like football's a game of
Crush
strategy,
the
but it's a game of
quarterback.
strategy based on trench warfare.
Yes.
Right.
Right? You draw lines. Those lines are trenches,
right.
and you advance your troops from line to line
And there's
using
the
crushing
there's
force.
the finesse guys who dance around those
Right.
lines.
Your running backs and,
And your
your
wide
and your
receivers.
receivers.
And
Did you play football
Not
until
well,
what
not
age?
much. Until I got hit by a truck.
Oh, that'll do it.
17.
I was like, yeah, I was just turning 18. Yeah.
I remember the stories. I'm
In-
curious. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I don't know. We're gonna be diverged from football to from punk rock to football, but
Actually, that's okay because I was also
can-
the
we
only
can-
like
we
sort
can-
of gothy
we can
punk rocker
weave
guy
him
that
back
played
in.
football for a little bit.
I was gonna
but-
say
Oh, yeah.
any football stories of note, any injuries, or any like complete utter destroyals of someone that you were playing opposite.
No, I don't want to talk about that, but I will talk about one football party
Okay, here we go.
because it crossed the boundaries in my
Oh.
school. Like it walked all the lanes, right? We had black guys and white guys and Asian guys and all the different sort of the classic phenotypes like the
You
thugs
said
and
Danforth Tech,
thugs
right?
and the thugs and the popular kids and and
You're saying the football team crossed all of those.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
because it was who could play
And like the locker room was spicy for that because it was all walks of life in the
like
locker room.
really weird
And
shit.
then-
Like
and
I had
then- yeah.
long hair dyed black with a white stripe, right? And I had an eyebrow piercing at the time, so I had to tape that over when I played and like put my hair back and under the helmet. Like there were certain rules. Nowadays it's actually a lot. It's funny. It's a lot looser, but like you had to look a certain way. There's actually you could get called if too much of your hair was hanging out from under your helmet and stuff because like it was like an obstacle to play or whatever. Anyway, I don't know.
Yeah.
But the point is they had all kinds of rules. I didn't really understand the
Uniform.
game. I'm not a brilliant football strategist, never was. But being like, think about it. At 14, I'm like 6'6", and I weigh like 400 pounds. It was a no-brainer for them. They came to my English class and begged me to play. Like, the guys came and were like, "We've seen you
Yeah.
wandering around school. Like, you're a junior?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm in grade 9." And they're like, "You have to play. Like, this is ridiculous."
This is your destiny.
You're the football version of in Lord of the Rings or any war movie when they bring in the giant who just walks in and just smashes the
Goliath.
castle.
It's
Yeah.
Goliath. It's the Goliath complex. Yeah.
And everyone's
No,
like,
and we
"Oh,
did a
shit."
pretty crazy team. Like it was a lot of really big dudes because it was a very large draw, largest inner city high school in North America. So we had like a lot of draws. So yeah, for some of the, I didn't actually play a full season. I never played a full season of football. I played a preseason and then got injured, and that was the end of that.
That's how many injuries, man. It's fucking brutal.
Well, like I said, I got hit by a truck at a crosswalk. That'll do it. Like that'll fucking.
Classic sports injury right there.
But I'm gonna tell you this. I remember one of the parties you went to. One of these parties, like one of the guys after getting in the locker room, like throwing my leather trench coat on, I'm walking out of the locker room, and it was like one of the third or fourth practices where it actually played, and the guys were like, "Okay, we have to respect this like Titan over here because he's doing exactly what we asked him to." He like runs over and grabs guys and just tosses them over there, and it's like, "Okay, we're done with this football thing. Like, we got you." So I got invited to this party, and it was funny because I could tell the guy didn't want to, and he's like, "Yeah, you're like some metal goth freaker. I don't know if I want you at my house, but like it's a football party and you're on the team, so like you can come to the party and like bring your girlfriend or whatever, And I was like, "Yeah, okay, man, and I probably won't, because like
Fuck
I'm
y'all.
like, fuck y'all. But okay, we'll see. And it turned out I didn't have anything to do Friday night. So yeah, I brought my girlfriend on a leash. To the party.
Literally.
Yeah, literally. To the party, like all fetished out, like, you know. And so
Nice.
so I showed up at the front door, and it's just like, it's this big house on the bridle path. And the dude acted like a gangster.
Say
like,
word.
He acted like a gangster.
This guy
like
was
he
on the bridal
downtown.
path?
Yeah, but he
What's
acted like
that?
he acted like he was
That's
a
like-
street.
That's like
he
the
was-
richest neighborhood in Toronto.
Yeah, he acted like he was a street gangster. Like, seriously, black dude would show up. He's wearing, like, you know, ghetto gear and shit. I get to his house, literally. I'm like, are you fucking
It's
kidding me?
Fresh Prince of Bel
We
Air.
get out of the cab, and
say
I'm, we
word.
get out of the cab, and I'm like, yo, someone has to have, like, robbed this place, or, like, we're just partying in this guy's house. So I show up. His parents are actually there, and the help opens the door.
No.
The help. And this Asian woman's like, oh, you're here for Michael's party? And I'm like, Michael? He's like, he calls himself like Mick G or some shit. I'm like, Michael?
That's funny.
He's like, yeah, down by the pool on the backside. I'm like, oh, okay, awesome.
I gotta like navigate my way there. Okay, great.
So me and my girlfriend, again, like, I'm not kidding, like this goth girl I was dating, pretty interesting girl. Anyway, she's on a chain, and she's like wandering around and dressed in lingerie, and I'm
it's like Adam's family showing up to
leather.
the fucking...
Yeah, exactly. Adam's family shows up to like Fresh Prince
Right.
of Bel Air's house, right? And
Downton Abbey.
his dad was like a big time banker, dude. He comes out in the hallway, very large, broad chested. Man,
You're that. Yeah, that's fucking Uncle
Uncle
Phil.
Phil.
yeah, but not fat, just big, broad
Okay.
chested, like muscular man. And he's smoking a cigar, and he sees me, and he goes, "You must play ball with my son." And I was like, "What was it? The girl on the leash?" And he's like, "I like you, boy. Go on back to the party. It's by the pool in the back. You finally go down the stairs." So I'm like in this house for like 10 minutes just trying to find the
Right.
party,
Yeah,
right?
That's awesome.
yeah.
And but it's funny about it is it blew expectations across the board, right? Here's the poor white guy at the rich black dude's house in the bridal path. And the only reason we know each
Right.
other is because we played a little bit of football together.
Weird.
And he doesn't actually like me all that much, but he's willing to invite me to the party because we all played on the
Right.
same team, right?
It's a good movie.
And the funny part about that is we had like a crazy time, like absolutely crazy, because
Because you can't at those.
Yeah,
Can't
it
not.
just
Sorry.
got more and more intensely
I've
strange.
been one of those parties and it was nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And then at some point,
also there's always a tipping point too when enough
Dude, I'm
people
talking about
are
swimming pools
stressed,
inside.
are
like that.
stressed, and then the dam breaks, and the stress is all gone, and all of a sudden the party just opens up.
Yeah.
Like I walked in and people are kind of nervous and no one's really sure what's up.
Yeah,
or
it's
whatever.
like everyone's touching
And then
the
I'm
boundaries.
just like, I'm like, yo, and just drop my leather trench coat, pull my shirt off. I have like a whole bunch of drugs taped to my chest, and I'm like, I just
Nice.
wasn't sure if I was going to get arrested on the way over here. And they're like, why would you get arrested on the way over here? And I'm like,
I'm a wanted man.
because stuff happens, right?
Right.
And I'm like, let's just get fucked. So we're all, and then this other guy's like, in his bag, he pulls out a big bag of weed. All of a sudden, we're all just chilling. All of a sudden,
Everyone's
it's just
like,
a bunch of guys just chilling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it changes from that, like, we don't
Right.
really know each other that well. We're all just sort of guys in
Right.
the same school to, like,
Yeah, you become bros.
now we're
like
partying a
you're
bit.
like giving everyone like, oh, what's that guy's deal?
Yeah, and by
then
the
you're
next morning-
you're just like me.
by the next morning, this is the craziest part. By the next morning, we're being served breakfast by, like,
No.
staff. But it's like one of those things, like, I'm laying on a chair
Blank
with a
check
couple of
styles.
girls under my, like, coat. And this woman shows up, and she's like, good morning, and starts opening the curtains downstairs and laying out trays with, like, coffee and crumpets and stuff on them.
Did I die?
And I'm like, I just couldn't reconcile the situation with what was up.
Right.
So I like ate some crumpets, leashed my girlfriend, and took a walk. Like I had to go, but it was interesting times.
Did I just party with Aerosmith or what?
Well, that's the thing. Like music, sports, and stuff like that. Those pure bonding experiences are super weird that way because they do change your life forever. I mean, I remember we played a show in I don't know if I've told this story before to you guys, but we played a festival show once that just bombed because the guy running the festival was a total clown.
The festival bombs
Yeah, and he
in
kept
general?
because he kept jacking the prices on the tickets at the last minute because he wasn't thinking he was selling enough, and like
Oof.
made terrible arrangements and changed the camping, and so things went. So basically, nobody came except for like bands, their drivers, and their girlfriends. So we all show up at this land. It's not like a campground, like a provincial campground. It's like a KOA run by some like lunatic
Right.
drunk guy on an ATV
Right.
with a gun
that's
rack.
hilarious.
Right.
Like one of those campgrounds. Like I own some land and I rent it to campers. like one of them serial killer looking white trash motherfuckers, like Deliverance styles.
This is another movie. You've described 2 movies.
We're on
right
fire
now.
tonight.
Well, I'm telling you, music, sports, drugs, that's part of the story. And I forgot that was part of the story. So I'm going to get into that. That's why I'm going. That's why it's solid gold, because it hit me on, I've been thinking about maybe the content and how I should deliver it. But this is it. That particular camping experience taught me 3 things about being a person that I never thought I would know.
Huh.
1, it taught me how to have like an adult style, almost like kangaroo court. When there is no one around to judge the guilty and someone has to, how do you do that? Like, how do you? So what happened in this particular story, and that this one member of one of the bands, lead singer of the band, he punched his girlfriend in the stomach at the event. And there's no one here but bands and girlfriends and stuff, right?
Always a party killer.
So we all heard about it. So middle of the night, there we are at the fire, and dude gets dragged out of his tent and dragged to the fire. And we're all there, like 20 dudes, like other singers and stuff in bands. And we had like a community court. We were like, well, what do we do with you?
And like, let's hear it out. Like what's your
right.
defense?
Yeah,
Like, what's
like
the?
why did this happen? Yeah, that's exactly right. Like, she came up and she cried and told her story, and he was there. We were like, I want the whole thing. And we all heard the story. And then at the end, we had a little bit of conversation, and we all looked at the guy and we were like, head or gut? And he was like, what? And I'm like, head or gut? Because I was adjudicator, right? And he was like, gut. So I fucking drilled him right in the stomach as hard as I could. Just hit him, doubled him over. Then a bunch of guys dragged him back to his tent while he was like puking and still trying to recover. And he was explained to him that was his one and only freebie in the punk rock community.
Right.
Like, you don't hit women. You're not that kind of guy. Just don't do it. It's not right. If you got to leave her and make her cry, if you got to fucking make her sleep in some other tent, we'll find a place for her. There's lots of people here with girls, like on the campsite. They'll take care of her. That's fine. There's like 70 of us here. I'm sure we'll find a van for her to stay in or a fucking other tent for her to crash in, if you can't get away from each other. But you don't beat her on the campground in front of us and
Right.
fucking expect
Yeah,
nothing
that's
to happen.
Insane.
That's just not cool. And if we did nothing, we'd be just as guilty as him for doing it, in my mind. And the second thing I learned was that if you're on stage and you're really hungover and one person pukes, you're all going to puke. It was the only time my entire band threw up on stage at, like, not the same time, but in the same set. Because they were fishing us out of various... I was found under a park bench on the other side of the park.
Nice. What time did you perform compared to like when you passed out, or like how did it work? Like
we had 3 different shows on 4 different days, and the shows were like, we had different shows each day.
and it was just
So it's
one
like you had
giant
one
ridiculous
afternoon
bender?
set, one evening set. Yeah, and just otherwise it was just this reckless bender of absolutely insane proportions. So like one night I slept in a lawn chair wearing a Superman towel, and the other
Were
night
you
I
wearing the
slept-
tone like a cape?
Yes.
Thank
Makes
God.
sense.
Thank God.
One night I slept under a park bench and was found under the park bench. Another time, like, I fell asleep.
Were you
on
wearing the bench like a park bench?
Sort of, yeah. I fell asleep on a floaty. Luckily, it wasn't like a river; it was like a pond. And I like floated out in the middle of the pond and was
thank
like
God.
completely unconscious. And they couldn't.
There's a giant on that
didn't have a
floaty.
boat or anything, so they ended up having to send a couple other guys in on like inflatable animals and shit to like drag me back to
I'll tell
shore.
you that
an
gonna say
aquatic
that
rescue.
that like thing that they had to like drag in the crap or whatever.
Oh, the
like
pole hook?
the
No,
pole
it was too far out in the pond. It was like a pretty big pond, so. And because of wind and whatever, I just floated out right to the middle. And I was completely sunburned.
Oh
Like,
man, that's the worst, eh? Getting wasted and then waking up sunburned. Wow.
I
Talk
burned
about
the
that.
bottoms of my feet. One
Yeah.
time.
Oh, I was about to say my cousin
I
did
was
that.
on a deck and I had my feet up on
It's
the rail of the deck.
That's
And I had
brutal.
sunscreen on everywhere, right? So
You
I thought,
can't
I'm going to be
walk.
smart. I got my sunscreen on, had my hat pulled down. I'm on the tight
You're
edge,
like,
my feet
I'm
up
all
on the rail.
set.
I fell
And
asleep.
my feet are
And the afternoon
blisters.
came down, and the bottom of my fucking feet roasted them. Worst weekend ever. You think a sunburn is bad? Try burning the bottom of your feet.
You
You
can't
do
fucking
anything.
stand,
You're
bro.
done. Like the rest of your weekend is like sitting on the deck.
Were
You,
you-
try and walk around.
Were you as
blisters
tall
popping.
as everybody else the rest of the weekend because you're walking around on your knees? Like,
I just basically.
hey
can't-
Bob, what's something different about you? You're more our height.
A buddy of mine, I brought him up on previous podcast, but Fishpool. I think you've met him in high school. We did like
a great name, by the
cottage
way.
weekend. Yeah, it's a killer name. So he's redhead, like super freckly, like just the worst.
Redhead
Like shouldn't
named
be out in the
Fishbowl.
sun. One day, it was like a day in July. I think day in June, we skipped the afternoon of school, went to our buddy's cottage, and we were out all day long. No sunscreen.
no protection.
He
yeah.
got like bubbly blisters, like that were like a half inch to an inch, to the point where his t-shirt, like the next day, he was wearing a t-shirt only, but then his t-shirt would stick to his shoulders because he has pussy,
Yeah.
like bubbly blisters. His shoulders and back were like bubble
That actually
wrap.
should have required
Like-
medical attention.
Yeah, man. There's a
Yeah,
reason why.
it was like actual like whatever degree burns.
There's
It
a
was
reason
the
why
worst.
daywalkers and gingers like fear the
Oh.
sun because it's not good for them, man.
We were in his defense though. We just got carried away. We invented a game that day called Chuck-a-Me Pepsi, which we had no sports balls. Did you ever play games with buddies where you didn't have proper equipment?
So you
just
made it
invent
up with
some
like
stupid game?
Just carry on.
So we had
kick the
Pepsis,
can.
and so the guy on the beach would no look throw a Pepsi as high as he could over his head, and all of us were not looking, and we would wait to hear the splash, and then the game was to turn around and swim out, and you had to go find the Pepsi. And so the game was called Chuck-a-Me Pepsi. You guys should try it at home.
Right, I told you guys the similar story about how I hit Rich in the head with rocks until it was mathematically
Yeah.
Right.
impossible, right?
Right.
Yes, of course I've invented sports, although mine are
Right.
usually a little
I like
more-
how we tried our best to refrain from showing Coca-Cola ads on the podcast, and then, he
talked
calls
about
out
Pepsi.
a
Oh,
Pepsi.
Chuck-a-Me Pepsi. Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
like,
It's
"What
just-
are we?
Yeah.
Good work.
What are we
Sorry.
doing here?
Yeah. I didn't
Chuck-a-Me.
Checking me, purper."
Chuck-a-Me
Beep.
Pepsi. It's a fun game. Sorry about your.
Do you guys remember late great movies on CTV?
CTV late greats, yes, that were voiced by Mark. He would introduce them.
Yeah.
What's his name? Mark,
I can't remember either, but no, but
the guy.
yeah,
who
he was amazing. But
CTV everywhere.
what I remember about City TV is they used to do. It was City TV.
Oh, sorry,
And
City
what they,
TV.
and what they
everywhere,
used to
yeah.
do was they'd have members of their newscast do the voiceovers for films that were playing before it was like late night blue night,
Oh,
right? So like they do voiceovers, right? Like they edit out
baby,
swear words,
Baby Blue too.
right?
Really?
Yeah, and they would
absolutely. And one of my
Yeah.
favorites was Harold. Everyone loves. I'm gonna shout out to Mr. Harold Hussein, like hilarious
Shout
dude.
out to his
Yeah, he still does the radio.
Does he? The weather?
the weather newscast for I think it's one of the talk radio news
God
or
bless him.
news radio stations in Toronto. But anyway,
beautiful.
he used to do the weather broadcasts for City TV. And I swear to you, this may be trivia. And if you're out there, Harold, and you ever hear this somehow, or if there's anyone who's a City TV news historian or whatever can cover this with me, I want to know for sure because I'm certain of it. But they played the first Die Hard.
Yeah.
And you know that scene when he's like, yippee-yo-ki-yay, motherfucker. Right? Well, Harold Hussein, his voice was guaranteed the one that said yippee-yo-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon, in that edit, because they were editing out the swear words. And I'm telling you, to this day,
Because it
this
sounded
day-
like a question.
Mr. Falcon.
Yeah.
And it's also, it's also,
Motherfucker? Is that
yeah,
what it is?
yippee-yo-ki-yay, motherfucker, when he hits him with the fucking.
That's insane.
This was years ago, right? This was years ago.
right? And they're
But
like,
yeah.
"Yo, Harold,
Harold,
get over
Harold,
here."
come here, because they're editing it for that night, right? You can totally see it, and I know. And now now that I know how TV production and stuff works, the guy's like, "Look, I got these movie edits cut for tonight." They don't have like the pre-cuts. It's like, okay, this is going on at 9 instead of 11, so we got to get the swears out of it because we're the kids on TV, watching, right? So just go over here. Just say, right, say Mr. Falcon. Ready? 3,
Yeah.
2, 1. Mr. Falcon. Done.
Good, done.
And they just threw it in.
Edit,
Say
gone.
something that sounds like motherfucker, Mr. Falcon.
Mr. Falcon. but it's Harold Hussein. He has this very bubbly East Indian voice, Mr. Falcon. And it's great. And I'll never forget it. It was one of those like,
Clearly not Bruce.
no, definitely not
That
Bruce
didn't
Willis.
sound like Bruce Willis.
Not at all. Like Mr. Falcon. It's so good. And like I said, I want that confirmed. So I'm giving that to the weaponized autism that is the internet. You guys just like powerhouse yourselves through this.
Weaponized autism, that is the internet.
Wow.
Well quoted.
Wow.
That's good. Okay, so at this point of the show, we typically like to send it out to the studio audience. Luna, what do you got for us?
Luna, say something.
How you feeling, girl?
Puppy.
Luna, we're looking at you.
Bark, bark, bark. Wanna
Luna,
go for a walk?
is someone at
Wanna
the
go for a
door?
walk?
Someone at the door?
Someone at the door? Wait, watch this.
Somebody.
Watch this. Watch
Wait,
this.
ready?
Ready? Who's that, Luna? There she is. All right.
All right.
And we're back.
And we're back.
Good
You know what? I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to point this one out.
That was like
That was
like
really
on-
lame.
That was like on the Tonight Show when
Even
the,
Luna
when
knew
the-
that was lame. She was like, you know what? I'm tricked, but that's because my
Yeah.
brain's the size of an
When they-
acorn.
when
you,
they have-
sir,
when the
you did it.
when the
Tonight
when
shows.
the pet tricks person comes on, the pet doesn't do the trick, and you're like, oh, I'm so sorry. She normally does it, but she's not.
Yeah,
doing
how would
it.
Johnny recover from
He'd
this?
be like, oh.
Well, I remember when Muff didn't always dive.
No, he'd put his turban on and make more racially inappropriate jokes. Like,
Yeah,
that's what he would do.
that's a good point.
Right. Would Johnny Carson
He'd be
canceled
more
today?
like our
Yes.
prime minister.
He would, but he also wasn't alive today, so that's okay. He would adapt because he was a
Get a
comedian.
little,
It was great.
something here.
Yeah, what do you think?
I think it was whiskey.
Do you like that?
I think it was just
Kareem,
spittle.
what do you got?
Yes, sir.
Audience question. What? Did you
audience-
just call me sir? Did that feel weird for you?
Well, you are older than him,
You were
and typically
looking at
that's what
me
happens.
And saying
Yeah,
you looked at
like
me and
everybody
were like,
in this
"Sir?"
room
In-
is like,
Oh, you think I'm older than you?
In life, you respect your
You're
elders.
making that weird.
yeah,
That's what's happening
yeah,
right now.
exactly.
Yeah, except that you may have
Sorry,
seniority
Kareem.
over
Don't mind
his.
him.
Funny.
He's weird.
What I mean by that is you better say sir.
You can still be friends.
Sure.
What do you call it, sir? I called
What
the
was I
hobo
talking?
who was
I was
bullying me,
thinking.
sir.
Oh yeah, you're asking about sports injuries causing sports injuries.
You caused any sports injuries, Kareem?
A few, yes.
Really?
Wrestling?
No, actually,
Just-
when I actually do martial arts, I don't think. Actually, no, I did cause it. Never mind. Not
Tell the story. Tell the
We
story.
digress.
I was think about back in high school. Actually, I think I dislocated somebody's ankle
Right.
the first time I
With a
was
kick?
introduced to football, like
with the hold.
American football, not because everybody else in the world calls soccer football.
Right.
Right.
You have to call it American football.
You mean
Yeah,
Right.
the barbarians?
exactly.
How did you do it? You tackled him?
So yeah, I tackled him, and
purposely
back in
ripped
high
his
school, I
ankle?
was still the biggest guy in the school. So I tackled him, and apparently his foot was not set, and yeah, that did not end well for him.
It's worse when they're set.
And
What do
yeah,
you mean his foot was not set?
so I think he didn't land properly. He was
Oh,
still
okay.
like halfway in the air while I
Gotcha.
tackled him.
So his leg just hit the ground and crumpled under.
So his leg hit the ground at a weird angle, and there's my 230 to 20 pounds at the time hit him and hit the ground on top of him.
It's not even your pounds to measure it. It's your force of those pounds.
Yeah, I was running towards him. I tackled him, and I fell on top of
Physics
him.
then takes
And his
hold
ankle just went.
Yeah, I did pull a guy's shoulder out of the socket.
Yeah.
Just in the line of scrimmage. We hit. He's got, your arms are on each other and you're sort of wrestling back and forth. But instead of letting him wrestle, I just sort of stepped on his foot, leaned in, pulled his arm this way and pushed his body that way.
and literally pulled them apart.
Question for either one of you. Did you then do a celebratory dance over their crumpled corpse?
No, I was too busy.
No,
I was still playing the game.
Yeah, you go
me,
ahead,
I
you go
think I
ahead.
was more like scared because I think I was like 12 or 13.
You didn't do a little K-Rock shuffle? You thought you were going to get in
No,
trouble?
yeah.
You were like, you ran home crying
And
to
I
your
was like,
parents?
I learned.
It's too bad. It's too bad you guys are talking about these injuries because, like, when McNabb was here, he's a huge football star, and we played on the same team together. The guy, you saw him, he's a giant, and we had him on the kickoff team, and I played contain with him. And so the kickoff comes in, and I think it's East York or who is that? Somebody, Lee side, and I come in, and on contain, the whole point is just like get closer to the play, but don't commit until the play comes to you, and then make sure the guy doesn't get past you because the contain is you're coming on the outsides and you just squeeze in like pinchers. So I'm containing, I'm coming in, and out of nowhere, there's a fucking train comes through and just shoulder into this guy's head. The guy does a 180. Suddenly he's his ass on tea kettle, and like the noise and the vision, like, and it's just Nabber just coming through.
Who's like 6'6",
Yeah.
270.
Yeah, no
like-
attempt to tackle, just like he just runs through like a train, Guy goes 180, like just ball out, like yard sale, and
You're
man,
like, oh.
and McNabb doesn't. It's actually good to hear because he doesn't like telling that story because the kid didn't, the kid was out for the rest of the game,
Right.
And he doesn't. He's like, McNabb's like,
Well, at
spinal
Central
cord
Tech for
injury.
quite a while, the playbook was
Yeah.
obvious. It was crush and kill, and because
Yeah.
we had the biggest, heaviest team in the league, it was like there were a lot of teams that did that. That's exactly they put their star players on the bench for games against us. They're like, no, because what you're going to do is you're going to kill our quarterback, and he's the only guy that's getting us games outside of the season. So fuck it, we're not just
You were
yeah,
like,
you guys developed
yep.
a dirty rep because by the time we were playing,
very dirty.
we were like notoriously told to be frightened of you, but like Northern was the only team that had enough skill to at least attempt to play. But you guys still played hard, so.
I'm not joking. I was in the early part of that organization that was definitely going the way of the dinosaur is what we see children's sports nowadays. It was definitely the era when it was like you can get really fucked up and you can really hurt people. Like I ended my football career on an injury note, but I also caused enough ending of other people's football careers playing just a few. I didn't play even a few seasons, and I fucking
games,
did people's children serious injury, like breaking their legs in 6 places.
They're stronger from it.
Just on a simple running play, because the protocol was if you're going to hit them with everything you got, even if it's nothing. So the guy doesn't even really have the ball. He's just next to catching the ball and just gets crushed between 2 guys who almost weigh 400 pounds apiece, right? Like that was what our back end looked like. It was just one of those those frogman click, click, squish
Right.
maneuvers, like in Mario Brothers, the womps, and you like activate those big block monsters that fall on you, it's like that,
Right,
except you have
right,
2 of them coming at you from both sides, right?
Garth Brooks wrote a
Bertrand.
song about Bob. Went something like, well, your leg breaks in 6 places. I have a question for you, Bob. My question is getting back to punk rock. Tell us about a crazy punk rock experience, like a drunken, disorderly punk rock, either in an audience or while you're on stage.
Crowd surfing for the very first and only time in my life
Oh my gosh.
was probably a really impressive experience. I was drunk as fuck. It was our show. We sold out the upstairs, the Big Bop, again, the cathedral upstairs. We sold out the upstairs. 395 tickets, which is not fucking bad for a band that nobody knows. Like a teenage punk rock band. We sold the place out. And I got on stage and we whipped them into such a fucking frenzy. I knew the crowd would do it. And I got to the front of the stage and I said, I'm going to crowd surf.
By the way, I'm 6'11".
No, they don't know me. Like everybody knows me. But the thing is, no, to be honest with you, those like trust exercises where you catch someone who's falling.
Mhm.
If a couple hundred people put their arms up above their head.
It only takes a couple hundred people.
No, but I'm saying no
Right.
individual is holding
Right,
anything
of
more than
course.
5 or 10 pounds.
Right.
And of course, a couple hundred hands are on you at once. But the point is,
Right.
seriously, you make
No, I
it sound
know,
so
but
much
I'm
worse than
busting
it
your
is.
balls.
You really are.
But you're
go
like
fuck
the
yourself.
scariest person.
It was a
to
great
be like,
experience. It was a great experience.
no.
So I turned my back on the audience and I totally gave them all my faith, like 100%. And I was expecting to fall on my ass on the concrete floor and get hurt. I really
No
was.
doubt.
I was like, I expected the audience just wouldn't do it. I expected they were going to.
So wait, you turned back.
I turned backwards to them
Instead, he just.
and I just went like this and fell backwards off the
Oh,
stage with
no.
my microphone in my hand.
That
And
poor
that's the
woman.
best
That
feeling
poor woman.
to feel like you're gonna hit
Yeah,
concrete.
and I was expecting to get hit, and all of a sudden there's a bunch of soft hands
Oh,
on my back, and because there were so many people right there waiting to catch me, it didn't hurt anybody. Nobody got injured. Everyone was just like, "We got him." And I rode in the crowd for a bit, and they put me down, and I sang part of the next song
Wow.
as I was running out in the crowd. And I'll tell you right now, that sex, drugs, rock and roll, that shit, that was one of those moments in the rock and roll sphere where I truly, with my feet at the floor at that fucking show, I felt like a rock and roll god. I was so happy with myself.
yeah,
And I
like
was
you're
so
touching,
proud of my fucking fans.
touching down again. Yeah,
Yeah. It was amazing, man.
like you.
And like I said, I'm not one of those
yeah.
guys. I don't crowd surf. Like I don't go to shows and try and like get on the crowd. Even if the crowd's big enough that I could jump on them, they couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do that because that's just a dick move. Like I've seen guys jump off 20-foot high speaker racks and expecting the crowd to catch them.
That's
And
amazing.
when they did catch me though, when they did catch me, I felt really good. I was like, you know what, I got not only this crowd like willing to take that chance and give it a go, but they're here for me this time. That's pretty cool.
Picture the first people in the front row. Like, no matter what, like, I get the physics of everyone, but no matter what, if you're the person immediately in front of you, you're like, oh no. Like,
it's actually partially why I did it.
Someone
I looked into the
terrified.
audience. And I'm
Or like
looking
if
down
you're there
at them.
alone, like
No, but the thing is, Lars, I looked down into the audience, looked at them, and I saw these faces looking up when I said I was going to do it.
Right.
And I didn't see
Still
panic
scary.
or fear.
Right.
I saw punk rockers
Right.
clenching their knuckles like
Right.
this and
You're
going,
like, fuck yeah, we
can do this. We got this, right?
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah.
okay, now I'm not afraid. Now I'm not going to. I didn't actually think I was going to hit my head.
if there's enough eyes like going like
Like, I was terrified.
You
of it.
never would have hit the floor. You would have hit a bunch of
Bodies.
who would have been
No, they
your-
could have
your
moved. They could have
cushion.
moved. And I've seen
No,
that
but
too.
not enough people.
But you
could
And
knew
I
move.
worked
that-
at the opera.
you knew that
I
wouldn't
worked at the
happen.
opera house, and I watched the guy said jump off a 20-foot speaker
Yeah,
rack,
yeah.
and the crowd just opened up,
But you,
and he went
they-
face
they
first onto that
didn't-
concrete
he
floor,
wasn't-
shattered his
he-
orbital bone. His eye
Yeah,
was hanging
right.
out of his head.
But
like
he didn't
so-
rally-
wasn't
he didn't rally the
connected to
crowd.
No, he
No,
was
he was
just
some
like
guy.
thinking, oh, I can just do this. But
Yeah.
you like connected. You knew
Yeah.
they had your
I
back.
knew. Like I
Right.
said, and it's the only time I've ever crowd surfed in my life, and it was impressive.
That's
This
awesome.
question may be similar to how you got started in football, but when with the punk rock scene and bouncing, like you said, you performed and bounced at the Big Bop. Which started first, and did one precipitate the other?
Interesting question. When it comes to punk rock performing in music, I have one guy to thank for that, and I haven't talked to the guy in years because we had a bit of a falling out. But his name is Tyler, and he knows who he is. And so if he's ever sees these, and I'm not sure if he does, but you know, man, despite all the shit that's gone down over the years,
It's all love.
you know what I mean? You're still there in my heart for that shit. He introduced me to punk rock music, basically. Well, I'd always dabbled in singing. Like, I was in choir and played band when I was a kid. I played the trombone and stuff. Like, I always had some inclination
Musicality.
towards that shit. But he was sort of the influence of the punk rock thing. He got a guitar, and we both took lessons, but he obviously took them more seriously than me because he could, like, really, really play. Man could fucking play.
All instruments, like he just had the
No,
knack?
guitar specifically.
Oh, okay.
He could play guitar. He could also write a pretty clippy punk rock song. So we started playing. Like, clippy little punk rock songs in his bedroom at his mom's apartment. And we had a bass player who turned out to not be the right guy. We found a few people, and
It's
made a
always the
band.
bass player that like you got.
then it took us a while. Yeah, it took us a while, but we started playing just nothing little songs. And I guess what happened was I was never really going to be a singer. I was just hanging out, just jamming and stuff. But it just happened to turn out that I can carry a tune with my voice. And not only that, I can keep the timing, and I've got good breathing up. I just happen to be a singer. It just works out that way. And apparently I'm quite good at it. in
Got a
fact,
little bit of
so
stage presence.
that doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt.
It's a little
Yeah,
flair.
and you put that all together, and we ended up having a very interesting little 3-piece punk ensemble that we played for a long time, and we did really well. In fact, we were really close to getting signed by Universal when we had this massive meltdown and just the band
Nice.
broke up. But I'm
Classic.
sure people have heard.
That's,
Really?
That's very punk rock.
Wow.
That's actually the way you're
That's the
supposed
way
to
you're
do
supposed.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well done.
yeah.
People have heard about members of my band in other contexts from that era because they have played in other bands since and done well for themselves and whatnot. I just
Oh.
didn't have the heart after the couple of really serious fallouts that bands had to just deal with the bullshit. I can't do the business of music.
Well, 1, 2, 3. I think we can restart the band, boys.
We did. We're on episode 28.
Yeah, we have a podcast band now.
So I presume that this leads towards the idea of so to answer my question, you got forwarded on this band,
Yeah,
and then
I was already a nightlife person, going to clubs and bars.
Mm.
The band was just something that we did in high school. Like we were like doing the punk kids and the goth kids, and that's what we did. But then my mom being in the hospital is actually what got me into bouncing, and that's because I told you the story about my buddy Dave,
right.
who worked in the cafeteria at the hospital.
Right.
So what ended up happening was bouncing and playing music definitely intersected, but that was later. That was actually later in life when I started using my bar contacts to get me gigs and to help with getting friends of mine gigs and, working out, because you had to meet promoters. And where are you going to meet promoters? I mean, if you don't know anybody and you're just fucking some teenager, like, you know what I mean? It's not like these people come and talk to you, right?
Yeah, you just don't have the life experience at that time.
This is pre-internet, so you have to meet people.
It's
in
all
person
it's
back
all
then.
foot. Yeah.
Well, it's not pre-internet, but it's like MSN Messenger.
I was gonna
So,
say
yeah, there's
pre-
no face
It was
fucking book.
ICQ.
Well,
It was,
before before internet was what it was capable of. Like, yeah, we had it in a very infantile stage.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a MySpace page?
Cam said he brought up his MySpace the other day and he found it and it's like half
Still a
dilap.
thing?
Well, it's half
It's still there.
dilapidated. No, because the runners stopped updating it, so half of the
Right.
flashes are
Oh,
just
I
not.
see.
So
Not working.
he could decipher parts of it,
That's
but
great.
like
Wow.
yeah, it was like a relic, man. It was crazy.
Wow.
You know what's funny? That is kind of neat.
Yeah.
It's like finding Constantinople on the internet.
No
it's
wor-
like
yeah,
it may or may
seriously.
not
Yeah.
exist anymore.
Yeah, it's like one of those scenes in like Indiana Jones where he's through the jungle and he finds this like
The ruined
statue, but
city or
instead
whatever.
it's just a shitty old website.
Yeah. or like
you're
playing
surfing the dark web and you find like
Yeah.
something that says
Ugh.
AOL on it.
What
We're like,
is
what the
this?
fuck?
or like Planet
Friendster.
Planet of the
Ugh.
Apes, where like you scroll across an old web browser and it's
Yeah.
like you from like another time. And
Remember
you're like,
bulletin boards? Do you guys remember
Yeah.
bulletin boards?
what with like tax that you put on them? They were-
No, like they were called like internet. I remember those two, but like bulletin boards were like early websites where it was basically like it was pretty much just a Google Drive kind of thing where you could list files, and that was like where you'd like
Or
download
post a
free
message.
games
You could
Yeah,
because
post
the name of the
messages.
file would be like, oh, all those who like Wolfenstein.
Right.
I put this
Oh,
skin
right.
on it.
God, yo, Wolfenstein 3D.
So you'd pin it up. You'd pin it up on the bulletin
Yeah,
board, and someone else could
Wolfenstein.
see, and then they could come and download if you
Duke
let them.
Nukem,
If you get, the
Doom.
thing is that you'd have
Quake.
to let them
Quake.
download. You have to let them download off your system, so that you have
Right.
these download requests. And it would take like 9 hours for them to get like your Wolfenstein
I used
patch.
to overnight download
Yeah.
a picture of
Yeah.
porn, like just just a picture of a girl, and it would take all night, or
Okay.
it was like a GIF. It was like a
Okay, I'm not
GIF
proud.
of just,
I'm not proud, but
this,
I'm a Western
and
male.
then I'd hide it.
And let
in
me
a-
tell you this:
in a hidden,
I can
in a hidden folder.
I wasn't savvy enough for that. I wouldn't make a whole. I couldn't wait for a whole photo. So like, what I would do basically was what would happen was I would.
you
This
would
is really weird.
you would draw a cartoon of
I
porn.
would download the porn page, let it start to run, then hide it in a backup file, and let it run for however long it took to get.
to load up
Yeah.
something. Right.
So what would end
I
up,
see.
but the thing
So
is,
it would just
I'm
be
not a
ever
computer
there.
expert. I'm not even close. And my ex-wife will tell you, like, I'm like computer in savvy. But I learned how to do this from a buddy of mine. I was like, yeah, you hide it behind another function. Like, you load up a game, let it keep loading, but just run this through, like A, B, blah, blah, blah. I can't remember any of it because it was just DOS. It was like the end of this DOS command. And what you do is you basically just attach the file to another running file. So I leave SimCity on and
crazy.
tell my dad not to turn SimCity off on the computer because
Right.
I'm like doing some SimCity shit. But instead, SimCity's just downloading like this porn envelope for me, right? Like there's like
How
5 or
did
6
we
pictures.
hack
Right? It's like a
this?
spread. It's like a spread, right? It's like a Playboy spread. So it's like 5 or 6 pictures, but it would take like 88 hours, right?
Right.
So
People
So then-
listening to this now, this must be blowing your mind because now it's like all.
but I'm
the
also
porn
certain my
ever
dad caught me.
immediately,
I'm also
always
certain my dad
now.
caught me
Yeah.
and then
Like,
just reactivated
Wow.
SimCity and let it run and be like, just pretended he didn't.
Did you? You're old enough that you probably bought porn in
Magazines,
form.
man.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
this is
Store.
so in middle
Book
school.
store.
My
That's
my
hilarious.
introduction to grade 7 was like here's a guy who can get you weed, porn, and like something else. It was like
Cigarette.
yeah, cigarettes. It was like what the fuck, like porn, like yeah, magazines, like yeah, porn mags. Like, that's ridiculous. Like one day, my mom, she's in my room, like helping me clean my room or like flip my mattress, and I forget. I was just like I'm a fucking 15-year-old,
Just
or
like
whatever.
now.
Right.
Yeah,
I
I'm
feel
just like, whatever.
Every boy at
Thank
some
you,
point
yeah.
had that scenario.
And like
Every
lift,
mom
we
has
lift
found every son's porn.
Yeah,
at
we
some
lift
point.
up the mattress and she's like, "Oh, there's all my fucking like lingerie magazines. Like, where have they been? I'm like, yeah,
And they're all sticky.
Nice. It's like Sears catalog, Victoria's Secret.
It's all the Vicky Secrets, man.
Right.
Like, those are the best. Oh my god.
No, see,
Victoria's Secret.
my
models are
parents made
fucking
sure to, like,
smoke shows.
destroy the
I will say
truth.
that.
I
And
used to
make
know
sure it
all
was
their
all
names.
lies. We're gonna close on this stuff. They made sure it was all lies. They're like, this drawer is for your personal stuff. Your teen. If you have personal things, you put it in this drawer.
Who
So-
said that?
My parents.
Wow.
So I found, it's all lies. So I found porno at the gym. I was at the swim gym, and some guy had come in. His wife's already told him to throw his porn out. So where did he go? He threw it out at the gym. So in the locker room, in the garbage can.
That's crazy.
It makes some sense though, right? Like,
Yeah,
you
because
think
don't throw it
about
out
it.
in my
A
home.
neutral
Well, you don't want to put it like in the
territory.
garbage can in front of your house because what if the
Right.
little lady next door like sees all
Right.
your porn? But the guys at the gym, they'll be like, hey, right? So anyway, that's where I got my first few porns.
Well,
the
Boner
garbage
kids
can at the
at the
gym.
gym.
At that,
Boner Jams 96.
So
Boner
I had my
gyms.
shit in my personal drawer, and my stepmother opens the personal drawer.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if I'd left it open or she opened it, but either way, she sees the porn stash, and the point is, she's fitting my.
Do you
dad.
remember the name of the magazine?
Oh, it was like just a Playboy.
Okay.
It was just Playboy. But I do remember the argument, and I remember how I ended it. I mean, it was great. She says to me, do you think women actually look like that? And I said, I have photographic evidence that suggests as much.
Right?
I think so. Some of them could.
Right? And I walked away. Well, yeah. Look.
Look, there it
They
is.
look kind of like that.
Right.
And this is Playboy. There's no airbrushing. This is like
not
At
back
that time.
then.
there's
Yeah,
still like
maybe a
70s
little bit,
Bush
but-
involved.
Maybe
The
a
whole
little-
deal. I'm
maybe
like,
a
no, I have
little
a
bit.
feeling there are women that actually look like that. In fact, like I said, I have photographic evidence that suggests they might. Feminism.
Well,
Anyway,
despite
have a
what we
great
might
day.
have said earlier, it definitely smells like fart again. Yeah, I don't know
Aw,
who did
come
it.
on. We've come
I'm thinking
full
this
circle.
is Lars this time.
I definitely did
Lars
not fart.
started the
We have a
smelted
leaker.
Delta
This is-
fear here.
This is
my
when you leak.
studio. I have self-respect and respect for you
No,
guys.
no, you
so-
don't.
You have a
Yeah,
leakage.
of course I do.
It's when you fart, you don't know you fart.
I
It just
definitely did not
smells.
fart. I definitely did not.
It's from working out too much and
I'm
taking too
catching
much
some of the whiff
protein.
myself there, Larsy.
I don't smell it, which makes me seem guilty, but I did not.
It's from
fart.
taking too many full body
I feel like
tan.
this is a conspiracy between you guys. Like made eyes, and you're like, we're gonna finish on blaming fart on Lars.
It's a conspiracy
I don't like
against
this.
people who get full body
I don't like this.
shaves.
like
Full
this.
body shaves.
I do not like this.
It's your fault for getting.
Cream. Final
Completely
parting
cleaned.
words. Anything about porn you want to say?
Three.
Admit?
Nope.
Stories. Exactly. Yeah.
Nothing about porn?
Nope.
You've never had any porn experiences?
Not that I want to share.
Your mom never caught you out by the woodshed? Come on.
I had a childhood friend who we found a Playboy from his dad, and we took it outside, and basically we kept it buried in a groundhog
Like
hole.
hidden? Yeah.
It was like buried in a groundhog hole in a plastic bag, like through rain and like weather.
That's what boys will do
And
to
then-
preserve
and
the
then-
Playboy.
And then panicked, like he hit the panic button and like was like took it back and replaced it and put it back. But it was like swollen from weather. And he and his father have never talked about it to this day. So, but clearly,
well, like I
his
said, I think
dad-
my dad caught the Sim City run.
right.
He was like on the computer working and just turned it off by accident, and there's this porn file loading. And I think he just turned the Sim City back on and forgot about it because there's no way he couldn't have caught me. Like, I'm not computer savvy. I'm not a hacker, okay? Like, it's not even close. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I was really suave, but I'm just
It's-
not. So
We
And
can't
it's
finish on
clearly-
porn. We can't finish on
Why
porn.
not?
We
It's
went.
clearly.
Can we? Don't finish
Yeah.
on porn or finish on porn.
You know what?
most people finish
That's
with
what.
porn.
Yeah, that's.
Follow us at 39DD Show on Instagram.
And if you
or
absolutely have
Facebook.
to beat one out, you can.
do
just
it.
send
Do what
Jabril the
feels good,
pictures.
but do it in private. Don't do it in public or around kids.
No,
Do
but
it and
seriously,
send
send
Jabril.
Jabril the pictures. He's in need.
That's hilarious. Jabril the Thrill, one of our co-producers, production assistants. I don't know what his title is, but he's
Semi here.
he's sorely missed. By the way, should we briefly talk about Jim today? So we send out a group
Oh, yeah.
Facebook kind of being like, hey, everyone in for the podcast tonight. And Jim was like, thumbs up. Jim Tubey, the Tubinator, we're if you're listening to this,
Love
we
him.
love you. But he was like kind of positive, like looking good or like something upbeat, and then it was like
A cavalcade.
27
A fucking waterfall.
27 meme gifs. Meme gifs? Am I explaining
It's just
it right?
it just gifs.
Meme gifs of a penguin falling into ice.
It's a penguin like walking, and then slipping, and then falling into ice into the water.
And then like 4 hours later, he was like, "Sorry guys, not going to be able to make it tonight." And we were like, "What was that?"
And I was like, yeah, I couldn't tell because your 30 gifs of you falling into the ice.
I was
suggested.
Digi-stroke?
I was here at the studio
That's what-
doing shit, kind of like cleaning, doing my errands, doing whatever I do during the day. here.
Masturbating to porn.
No, I actually wasn't. I was not.
We were
I
just
was
talking about that,
I was-
so that's why it was a segue.
Well, but we were
naturally.
talking about it. I get it, but that, for the record, was not what I was doing at the time.
That's what you're
um,
supposed to say when people
okay.
say you're.
All right.
He was
closed-
he
you
was
closed-
cleaning the
always
porpoise.
masturbate.
You close the
porn
blinds in
at
the middle
all
of the day to make it feel more like
Right.
night, right?
So I was doing things around
Okay, let's
here,
go.
and then I hear ping,
I was jerking off in
ping,
front of the window.
ping,
and I
ping,
heard-
ping, 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 and it was fucking Jim's penguin gif. He sent us, and then he described it like he had like a Facebook Messenger stroke. What happened, Jim?
I was like,
We need to screen cap this or something. When
Oh
we
yeah,
get more
don't
advanced
worry.
in this
Don't worry.
podcast, we'll show you this
This
right
is
now.
going on onto
can
the.
it was
imagine.
odd. It was odd.
I'm gonna add it in post.
I
Don't
had
worry
not
about it. You'll
experienced
see
that
what
before.
what they're talking about.
Good.
All right.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Karim. And
Thank
thank you,
you.
everybody, for listening up till now. We
Hit us up.
appreciate you.
You can hear us everywhere. Share this with your friends too. Don't forget to do
Also,
that.
remember, sorry, really
No,
importantly,
no,
though,
go ahead.
remember, share us with your friends. Look for us online. I've been telling people how to find us, but if you're confused, just be stalwart, my friends. The internet is a fucking bastard.
It's not
And
hard.
We're
We're
I know it's
everywhere.
not. I know
We're
it's not,
everywhere
but
you listen to
I
podcasts.
keep saying this. We're
and on
everywhere.
all social media.
Soon, we, like syphilis, shall be in your home.
We're going viral.
Just talk about us around your smartphone and just say 39DD show. And then next time you Google something, it'll come up because it knows. and that's
Also,
it.
remember, don't forget to have babies. Have a
Oh, right,
bunch of
breed.
babies. Fuck a
Breed.
bunch. Have babies, and then convince them to listen to the podcast
Right.
as well.
Yeah.
While they're being
Conceived.
and yeah, you should conceive. You should
Listen to the
conceive
podcast.
while you're listening to the podcast,
And mother
and
being.
then
And then
during the
prenatally.
gestational period, have them listen to the podcast. Bob's voice has been proven for positive development.
Yeah.
Just-
It increases the intellectual capacity of your children by
Yeah.
at least.
They come out.
12%.
They come out already able to handle these.
How
kind of
about 12%? What do you
situations.
think? That's good. 12. That's
12. Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah,
info.
it's not. It's
12%.
not demonstrable by science, but it's
You'll have
also
a
not
12%
suable or
improvement.
actionable legally. So
Your child will
good.
have
12%.
good
Smart
diction.
number.
Right
can't
out
be
of the
proven.
womb.
That means it might be right. Keep that in mind, ladies and gentlemen.
Because those kids are the only ones that are going to get us out of this muck.
We do it all for the kids. Greta, you're doing a hell of a job. Keep it up.
Thank you, Seattle.
Podcast over now.